Power, precision, passion. In the world of intergalactic high-speed motorsport, these are more than just words. They're a way of life. Unless you're watching the Murray Cup, in which case they are basically just words. You're listening to Radio Voskhod, and this is Formula 300. Radio Voskhod is a free public hypercast because information wants to be free. Today's program is sponsored by Recreational Equipment Incorporated, the Galaxy's premier sporting goods store. If you're looking for camping gear, sports equipment, or just want to try out our brand new orbital rock climbing facilities, make sure you stop by one of our hundreds of locations open throughout the galaxy. Okay, hello listeners. I am, as ever, your faithful host, Arkimedes, and boy, is it good to be back. Today we're going to be looking at the upcoming Formula 300 season, as teams from all across the galaxy continue to test and refine their new ships this year. First and foremost on everyone's mind is last year's shutout victory by the Origin Works team, finally unseating reigning 34-time champions Red Bull Racing. Last season saw a chaotic start as racing teams scrambled to adapt to new engine regulations across the board, with some teams dropping out toward the end of the season due to funding issues and some racers being abducted by passing Banu slavers. The question on everyone's mind this season, however, naturally falls on control systems. Now, the Fédération Intergalactique d'Automobile has not yet passed any significant restrictions on control layouts for this year's 350Rs, which has completely opened the playing field, as all teams are now working overtime to determine which setup will be most competitive. Longtime competitors McLaren Musashi and Ferrari Scuderia have both opted for a traditional throttle and stick configuration, while Red Bull Racing and newcomers Consolidated Outland Racing have opted for a newer twin-stick setup. As testing continues in Stanton, Radio Voskhod will keep you up to date on any new developments. And now, a word from one of our sponsors. Today's program is brought to you in part by Dick's Sporting Goods, the galaxy's leading supplier of sporting equipment and high-powered directed energy weapons. We have the lowest prices on everything from rowing machines to athletic shoes, guaranteed. In fact, if you bring in a deal from Academy or Recreational Equipment Incorporated better than ours, we will match it. No questions asked. Visit your local Dick's today. Okay, in technology news, this weekend saw the close of the quarterly Perseus Arcturus Expo, hosted by the St. Anthony Orbital Habitation Facilities around Terra. Perennial favorites Original Entertainment had a presence at the expo, of course, demoing their ever-popular VR space combat simulator, Arena Commander. Their presentation was marred, however, by a number of administrative mishaps that left many fans frustrated. A highly anticipated presentation on the expansion of Arena Commander's multiplayer functionality, for instance, had its venue changed at the very last minute, leading to a group of angry and confused Arcom fans sitting through a 3-hour trade conference on landing platform construction methodology. Likewise, a shipping error led to a group of experimental human-lapine mutant hybrids accidentally being released into a developer meet and greet, leading fascist UEE security forces to sterilize the entire section of the hab block with military-grade nerve agents. While around 200 hardcore gamers were tragically killed by the gas, the Original Entertainment dev team fortunately was able to escape relatively unharmed. Now, fascist UEE security forces declined to comment on the incident, though Chairman Blair himself offered his personal apology and a voucher for a free Arcom-themed vinyl wrap for the ever-popular series of Grey Cat Rovers to the families and loved ones of the deceased. Other than that, it's been a pretty fantastic weekend for video games and fans of video games, with dozens of new releases being debuted at the expo. If only I had time to play some. Okay, I've just received word that one of our sponsors has asked to pass a message over the air, so here goes. Today's program is sponsored by the president of Recreational Equipment Incorporated himself, who would like to address the honorless scum of Dick's Sporting Goods. Lest you forget, your ridiculous advertisements are addressing the owner of a large intergalactic corporation, and this slanderous nonsense will not go unanswered. As of this moment, a state of war exists between Recreational Equipment Incorporated and Dick's Sporting Goods, and our fleets are ready to grind your pathetic storefronts into so much cosmic dust. Okay, moving on then. Let's see, what do we have? Here. Drake Interplanetary has come under fire recently from investors and shareholders for a perceived mismanagement of the Drake brand, particularly regarding the latest variations on their ever-popular Cutlass line of patrol ships. Now, many upstanding organizations, such as the Cathcart Cutthroats and several leading Tongs from the Greater Xi'an Triads, have issued statements denouncing a perceived shift in focus from sector militias to private security with the release of the new Cutlass Blue. One disappointed citizen was quoted as saying, "Drake used to be good to us. They showed real solidarity, man, with, like, the working class, man. Now they're stabbing us in the back by selling the pigs? That ain't right, man. That ain't right." Now, Drake has gone on record saying that the release of the Cutlass Blue and the rebranding of the Drake Bloodletter to the Cutlass Red does not in any way represent a demographic shift away from their traditional customer base, citing that the Cutlass Blue can in fact be seen as an upgrade to the standard Cutlass Black and is not exclusive to law enforcement in any way. However, sources within the company have revealed that this public outcry has led internal development teams to outsource the upcoming model of the Cutlass to a satellite facility in the Bretonian systems for a total overhaul. Either way, as our mobile studio is starting to get a little old in tooth these days, we will follow any future developments as they happen. Continuing on our Formula 300 coverage. Controversy has been simmering ever since Immortal God Emperor of the FIA, Bernie Ecclestone, announced last week that there would be more scrutiny applied to the so-called pay drivers of the sport, referring to pilots who secure a team position through generous funding. Now, one of the side benefits to securing an FIA super license is a lifetime liability protection from the on-track accidents that are a frequent occurrence in the sport, a benefit that proposed restrictions would significantly diminish. Many hopeful pilots have begun to denounce this proposal, and one such pilot is quoted as saying, "So not only do I have to pay a ton just to fly a decent ship, but the guys who got in before me paid less to fly and don't have to renew their insurance? How is that fair?" Ecclestone has, of course, dismissed these complaints as childish and petty, emphasizing that Formula 300 is an elite motorsport and requires a certain standard of pilot. He then went on to declare that any pilot who didn't like it could fly in the Murray Cup if they liked instead. Now, meanwhile, testing continues in Stanton, where teams are already coming to grips with their new control layouts. So far, there have only been 12 on-track injuries, including one fatality. That's down from last season. We'll keep you up to date. I'm getting a priority message from one of our sponsors. Today's program is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods, which is happy to announce a galaxy-wide war sale. Not only are we marking down nearly everything in our inventory, from bicycles to stun rifles, any items marked with the red clearance stickers have been scavenged from destroyed Recreational Equipment Incorporated war vessels and orbital climbing walls, and are priced to go. Not only are our deals unbeatable, it seems our fleets are as well. So support the winning side. Shop at your local Dick's today. And now a look at traffic. There was an incident at the jump point that links Davian and Cathcart today, as an Idris frigate operated by Recreational Equipment Incorporated was ambushed while traversing the wormhole by a mercenary squadron of M50s apparently hired by Dick's Sporting Goods. The Idris, which was transporting a shipment of war materiel and basketballs, was hard-pressed to defend itself within the chaotic terrain of interdimensional space, and one of the M50s was able to score a hit on her starboard maneuvering thrusters, sending her careening into the walls that separate our reality from whatever lies beyond. As traffic controllers on site report that the flow of basketballs exiting the jump point at relativistic speeds has not yet subsided, it might be best to avoid that route for now. What, again? Oh, for the love of... Alright. I'm getting a priority message from one of our sponsors. Today's program is brought to you by Recreational Equipment Incorporated. The cowardly attacks from Dick's Sporting Goods have done nothing to deter our righteous crusade, and the so-called peacekeeping forces sent in by the fascist United Earth Empire are nothing more than a stepping stone on the path to our inevitable domination of the galactic sporting goods trade. Though we may be bruised, we are not beaten, and soon our enemy shall know true fear. P.S. This is one of the directors. I wrote this in while the president wasn't looking. A negotiated peace would actually be pretty cool right about now. Okay, bye. You know, it's just occurred to me that it's kind of strange that a station backed by a militant collectivist trade organization is so heavily sponsored by commercial interests. I mean, if you really examine it critically, I mean, under the circumstances...
any scoundrel as long as they're rich, you know. She's juicing the fillies and rigging the rig. She's taking the wagers and laying the vig. It's not a profession, but it ain't a bad gig, oh no. Penny Arcade had a bad break. What's it supposed to happen? Or just a mistake? Now who's gonna know when everyone's on the take? Yeah. A day at the races, a shot in the dark, a Santa Anita, a Hollywood Park. The odds are against you and that's how they stay. But that's what you get if you play. Oh! Manny the Monk and Shelley the Ship are trying to drink something other than swift. So they put all they got on Jupiter Jill in the fifth. The long shot came in 90 to 1. They bet 20 lodge with Alabama, but she never laid it down cause that horse had never won. Yeah, well, Manny and Shell got nothing from Bam. They put her to hit, so she went on the lam. There's no one for Bobby and no one for Sam, oh no. Yeah, day at the races, a shot in the dark, a Santa Anita, a Hollywood Park. The odds are against you and that's how they stay. But that's what you get if you play. A day at the races, a shot in the dark, a Santa Anita, a Hollywood Park. The odds are against you and that's how they stay. But that's what you get if you play. Santa Anita, a Hollywood Park. The odds are against you and that's how they stay. Well, that's what you get if you play. Hey! And that's what you get when you play.
And it really does stand to reason, if you examine the works of Deleuze regarding the culture industry critically, that... Wait, hold on. Wait, transmission error? Did our hypercast just get jammed? Okay. Well, anyway, I've just received a report from the Stanton test track that the Origin Works team have just debuted their new prototype control scheme for this season's 350R. In just a few short laps, it proved so effective that their lap times demolished the competition by up to several seconds. A real coup for the team. With the other teams shocked by this staggering performance, we asked an Origin technician what the secret to their new control layout is. Well, listeners, I'm pleased to report a Radio Voskhod exclusive scoop. After surreptitiously slipping him a 20-credit chip, the technician told us that Origin's new racer uses a proprietary solid-state mechanical control setup paired with a full-motion hand controller. This precision afforded by the unique setup completely trumps the traditional throttle and stick and more modern twin-stick setup in its efficiency and simplicity. When asked how they came up with such a revolutionary spacecraft control layout, the tech simply replied that they had grabbed a keyboard and mouse from a nearby PC and plugged it into the cockpit. Must be some kind of technical thing, I guess. Anyway, okay, seriously? Well, alright then. Today's program is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods, which is currently expanding into sport spacecraft sales due to a sudden surplus of slightly used military-grade fighters. Thanks to a complete breakdown of diplomatic negotiations between our sales team and the marketing department for our esteemed competitors, as well as the CEO for Recreational Equipment Incorporated having a nervous breakdown and jettisoning his entire board of directors into space before joining them in the infinite void, we can now offer freshly salvaged top-of-the-line combat ships for bottomed-out prices. Seriously, you won't believe how cheap these ships are, and you don't even have to wash out that much blood. So come and see your local Dicks today for all your surplus military spacecraft needs. I guess that's that then. I suppose it's time to wrap up the program anyway, what with Okay, sorry listeners, it appears a stray basketball has just punctured the hull and the cabin is very quickly depressurizing, so this is Arkimedes signing off.